Hello, teachers, parents, and educational leaders, and welcome to this episode of Breaking Down the B.E.S.T. Now, during this episode, you will get a peek into the members-only area where I have tons of resources to help you make math fun, make it click, and make it stick. There should be a link somewhere around this video where you can learn more. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to it, and let's break down the standard. Welcome to Breaking Down the B.E.S.T, a video series dedicated to breaking down Florida's B.E.S.T standards for math. So grab something to write with and maybe even a snack. This looks good. And don't forget to put a smile on your face. There you go, I see you. And let's dive into today's B.E.S.T standard. Hey everyone, and welcome. My name is Sarah McCarthy, and I am super excited that you are joining me as we break down the following standard. Today's standard is MA.5.GR.3.1, and this standard says to explore volume, which is the amount of space an object takes up. We're going to explore volume. Explore volume as an attribute. That means like a characteristic of three-dimensional figures, or we call them 3D shapes, by packing them with unit cubes without any gaps. So when we have these right rectangular prisms that we're working with, we're going to be packing them with cubes, unit cubes, to determine the volume. We will find the volume of right rectangular prisms with whole number side lengths by counting unit cubes, packing them up and counting up the total amount of unit cubes, because that represents the volume. I love this standard because we're not even going into the formulas here, we're just making the connections. Now it's okay if students are curious and start to see, well, if I just multiply the length, how many cubes across, times the width, how many cubes go back, times the height, the layer of the cubes, and I get the total. That's exactly what we want here. We want them to discover this formula, but we're not actually using it when we're hitting this standard. By the way, this document that I've marked up all over is not something that I created. This is something that the Florida Department of Education releases to the public. And in these Breaking Down the B.E.S.T episodes, I'm just showing you how I break down the standards in order to create the resources that are strategically aligned and you're taking on the B.E.S.T membership. So we'll continue breaking down the standard, and in the second half of this video, we will walk through the resources that are strategically aligned to this standard. Let's continue. So benchmark clarifications. This says instruction emphasizes the conceptual understanding that volume is an attribute that can be measured for three-dimensional figures. The measurement unit for volume is the volume of a unit cube, which is a cube with an edge length of 1 unit. Tripping over my words a little bit, but we're really focusing on those unit cubes that we would use to pack it in. Now, when we get to volume, where we're using a formula to solve, we'll have the units. It might say inches or centimeters or meters or whatever. When it comes to that, then we'll incorporate those units there. But right now, it's going to be just sticking to unit cubes. All right, so what are the related benchmarks in 5th grade? We've got MA.5.NSO.2.1, and this is multiplying whole numbers by up to 3 digits. And that will make sense because with volume, we're going to practice multiplying eventually. I would also say that the other MA.5.GR.3.2, and I'm going to squeeze this in, but 3.3, those are the follow-up volume standards where we increase the skills. Where are they coming from? In 3rd grade, we've got MA.3.GR.2.1, and that is finding the area by counting squares. So we're kind of using that same approach. In 3rd grade, students used unit squares to find the area first, and then they connected that formula of area equals length times width. And here, we're going to use unit cubes to discover the volume first, and then we'll apply that understanding to the formulas where volume equals length times width times height, or base times height, which is coming in the following standards. Not this one though. In 6th grade, we've got MA.6.GR.2.3, and this is where we are stepping up our volume practice with fractional or decimal side lengths. So they have that to look forward to next year. For the purpose and instructional strategies section, let's see what jumped out at me. It says that the benchmark introduces volume to students. Their prior experiences with volume were restricted to liquid volume, which is also known as capacity, and that this concept of volume should be extended from area in grade 3, which we just talked about, with the idea that a layer, such as the bottom of a cube, can be built up by adding more layers of unit cubes. As they develop their understanding of volume, they recognize that a 1 unit by 1 unit by 1 unit cube is the standard unit for measuring volume. This is called a cubic unit, and we're incorporating powers of 10 using inches cubed, meters cubed, etc. Okay, so you can see here's an example where we have a rectangular prism, a right rectangular prism. We find one layer is packed with 6 cubes. So if we have 5 layers, we can multiply the base, which is 6, times the height, which would be 30 cubic units. And that's pretty much what we'll be doing in this one. For common misconceptions or errors, it says that students may incorrectly fill figures to find volume with cubes. They need to make sure that there's no empty space, that there are no gaps, no overlaps, that they're equally sized, and that they are packed tightly, again, without overlaps. They gotta be nice and tight. They can't be looking like they're all over the place or unequal cubes. This is an interesting instructional task here where they have to use their knowledge, where they have 120 blocks that need to go into a right rectangular prism, like some kind of a toy box or something. And there's 6 rows of 4 blocks on the bottom layer, and it has exactly 6 layers. It can hold exactly 6 layers of blocks. So then they would answer part A and part B based on that knowledge. And then this is more of a, sorry, that first one was more of a real world situation, and this one is more of a mathematical situation where we just have the volume of a right rectangular prism. No context is given really, but we can see that the first layer, how much that equals. We can do that by finding the, almost like the area, right? The length times the width of the base, and then multiplying it by 6 or adding it 6 times to get that. You'll see what I mean in the video lessons, okay? So I love this standard, and I cannot wait to show you what you have access to with your Taking on the B.E.S.T membership. So let's head over to the website. All right, here we are at McCarthyMathAcademy.com. You are going to click the Members Enter Here button. Select Taking on the B.E.S.T, and we want 5th grade. Scroll down to that GR strand, Geometric Reasoning, and scroll to MA.5.GR.3.1, Finding Volume by Counting Cubes. The first page that will come up will be your bronze resources. So if you have a membership, everybody has access to the bronze level. And the bronze level consists of video lessons and printable student guides. So students can watch the video lessons and take down the same notes that I'm doing in the videos onto their student guides to help them when they go and practice on their own. So you can see this first video lesson is finding volume by counting cubes. Again, we've got the bottom layer and then how many layers we have. And then the next video lesson is finding the volume again by counting cubes, but this time we're given the entire rectangular prism. We can apply our what one layer is and then adding up our other layers here. So you can see here we went across for the first layer, and then the width was 3 units. So that's a total of 6 cubic units in that first layer. And then to find 6 layers of it, we would add that 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. So we're just getting a very conceptual understanding of what the volume is. All right, so after students have watched those video lessons, now they can go ahead and try the extra practice. So that is found in the silver plan. You can click here for your printables. So then your printables come up and it has the video lesson in the bronze plan and then the extra practice that follows. Video lesson, extra practice, and then there's a couple of activities at the end too. So here's your video lesson. It says to use the layers to determine the number of unit cubes it will take to fill the container completely without any gaps or overlaps. This will give you the volume of the rectangular prism. So I'll break this down in the video lesson. Students will just record along with me. Then they have this extra practice page to complete on their own, so they can use the notes in their lessons to help practice on their own. When we get to the next video lesson right here, you can tell because of the icon. All right, we're going to find the volume there, and then students will practice on their own right here, finding the volume there. Next, we have the math mission, which takes the standard and just increases the complexity a little bit of the skill or throws it all together. And the math mission gives more responsibility to the student as far as thinking through some real-world problems. This one says that Will has a box shaped like a rectangular prism. He packs the box with toy blocks, each shaped like a cube. Each toy block has a volume of 1 cubic inch. The first layer of blocks can hold exactly 4 rows of 5 blocks each. Will has 150 toy blocks. If the box can hold 7 layers of blocks, can Will fit all of his toy blocks in the large box? Explain your thinking. And then here, August has 135 toy blocks to pack. If he uses the same size box as Will, how many more toy blocks can the box hold once August has packed all of his toy blocks in? So first they got to figure out what the volume of the big box is, and then when they pack in their little blocks. So you can see that this requires more thinking with the student. And then finally, there is the math misconception mystery episode. You can tell it's an episode, and you can locate it right here. You just click play, and I will guide your students through the entire process. First, I'll instruct them to solve this problem on their own. It says, what's the volume of the right rectangular prism? After they solve it, they'll watch as 4 characters solve that same problem. 3 of those characters will make a mistake that students commonly make, and only 1 character will solve it correctly. Those characters are just me dressed up in silly costumes, and after they watch all of the characters, your students can fill out their detective report stating who the most reasonable answer belongs to and evaluating the work of the other 3 characters. I'm going to let you know right now that the math misconception mystery videos are a big hit with students. They love the silliness that's with math, even though it's requiring a ton of thinking from them, and this is perfect for group discussions. Oh my goodness, the discussions your students can have. Once you start these math misconception mystery episodes, your students are going to beg you for more, so get ready. And you also have the answer keys right there for your silver resources. If you have the gold plan, click here. And with the gold plan, you have access to everything we've already gone over, and you also have a mini assessment aligned to the standard. You can see a variety of question types. Usually about 4 to 5 questions depending on the standard. Look at this one, how they're not packed tightly. There we go. Notice that it doesn't even say mini assessment, it just says show what you know. So you can use these as a mini assessment or as extra practice. However you want to roll it out is cool. Here's your answer key right there. Gold members also have the nice benefit of having the breaking down the best episodes right here with all of your resources, and they are ad-free. Whereas on YouTube, they are also available, but they do contain ads. However, the highlight of the gold plan is access to McCarthy Math 155, which is a daily math intervention that's aligned to the Common Core standards. I know it says Common Core, and we used to use the Common Core standards, the Florida version, in Florida. Now we're using the B.E.S.T. But if you've had some experience with both sets of standards, you know that there are a lot of similarities. And if you have students that are struggling with a skill, this is a great benefit to have. So if you click here, the 155, it stands for 155 video lessons for each grade level. Click on 5th grade, and you'll come to all the units. I'm just going to scroll down to the volume unit right here. Here's the volume unit. You can see it has 10 video lessons, finding the volume, finding the missing side length, and finding the volume of combined rectangular prisms. So if we click that, you'll see right here, day 139 is talking about what is volume. We're throwing it all together. We're also including the formula in this one. And here, finding the volume with length times width times height. Okay, so day 139 quickly connects the cubic units, sort of, and then the rest of them are going to be using that formula, practicing it. So these kind of go more for the other standards that we'll get to with MA.5.GR.3.2 and 3.3. But you can see there's a lot that you can use here to support the work, all right? To support your students who might need more practice. I think that is it for going over the standard for today. I hope that it made sense for you. And before you go, I just want to remind you that what you choose to wake up and do with your life, it really does matter. Thank you for constantly stepping into the leadership role that you have, for inspiring your students to take on the best version of themselves. And thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your educational space. I really, truly love being able to support you and your students, and I hope that this program is helping to put time back in your pocket. Speaking of time, I know that you are busy, so I am going to let you go and get back to all the things that you have on your plate. So I will see you in another Breaking Down the Best episode real soon, okay? Bye! Okay, so I know that I just said goodbye for now, but I'm gonna ask you to do one more thing, okay? If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your teacher friends or other leaders in education. That's how I get to continue doing what I love to do, which of course is supporting you all to the best of my ability. All right, for real now. Bye!